After divorce, my sister refused to let me stay. Don't want your problems. 6 months later, when she lost her job and asked for help, I quoted her exact words. Now she lives on unemployment benefits. Let me tell you about the time karma slapped my sister across the face harder than Will Smith at the Oscars. No joke, this whole situation still gives me that warm, fuzzy feeling when I think about it. So there I was, fresh off signing divorce papers with my ex, who, turns out, had been playing hide the salami with his coworker for months. Talk about a gut punch, right? I found out when I borrowed his iPhone to call my mom since mine was dead. Dude forgot to log out of his Instagram DMs. Rookie mistake. I had to get out of there quick. Our apartment was in his name, and I couldn't afford to stay in the city on my own. My job barely covered my half of the rent, let alone the whole enchilada. So I packed up my Kia Soul with whatever I could fit and headed back to my hometown where my sister lived. Now, my sister Kara, not her real name obviously, has always been the successful one. She's got that corner office job at some marketing firm, drives a leased BMW she can barely afford, and lives in this cute little townhouse in a gated community. Total suburban fantasy life. Meanwhile, I was the free spirit who hadn't gotten her act together yet, according to our parents. Whatever. When I called her from a Wendy's parking lot halfway home, I was so sure she'd help me out. We're sisters, right? Blood and all that jazz. Hey, so I'm coming back home. The divorce is happening, I told her, trying to keep it together while demolishing a Baconator. Oh my God, what happened? She asked, and for a split second I thought she actually cared. I gave her the Reader's Digest version of Finding the DMs, the fight, the whole 9 yards. Then I took a deep breath and asked if I could crash at her place while I looked for a job. The silence on the phone lasted so long I thought AT&T had dropped the call. I don't think that's a good idea, she finally said. I've got a lot going on with work, and I really don't want your problems to become mine. Your problems. Like I was some charity case with bedbugs. Like my divorce was contagious. It would just be for a little while, I said, trying not to sound desperate even though I absolutely was. Just until I can find a job and get my own place. Why don't you stay with mom and dad, she suggested, knowing damn well they'd downsized to a 1-bedroom condo in Florida after retirement. Because they live in a shoebox in Tampa now, I reminded her. She sighed that big sister sigh that always made me feel 2 inches tall. Look, I'm really sorry about your marriage, but I can't have you crashing at my place. I've got clients coming over sometimes, and I need my space. I don't want your problems to become mine, she said it twice. Remember that part. Update. Thanks for all the supportive comments, y'all. Some of you asked why I didn't just stay at a hotel. Well, after splitting everything with my ex, I had exactly $843 to my name. Not exactly Marriott money, know what I'm saying? Anyway, wait till you hear where I ended up staying instead. So there I was, ghosted by my own sister when I needed her most. I ended up staying at my high school bestie's mom's house. Talk about humbling. Angela's mom had always liked me and didn't hesitate when I called in tears from that Wendy's parking lot. She set me up in their finished basement, refused to take rent money, and even made me breakfast every morning like I was 16 again. Angela's mom, let's call her Linda, was legit an angel in mom jeans and Skechers. She helped me update my resume, let me use her address on job applications, and didn't make me feel like garbage when I cried watching The Notebook on their basement couch at 2 a.m. That woman deserves a Nobel Peace Prize, or at least a lifetime supply of Yankee candles. Meanwhile, my sister texted exactly once to ask if I'd figured things out yet. I didn't bother responding. Here's where things get interesting. I'd been job hunting like a maniac, sending out applications, networking like crazy on LinkedIn, the whole shebang. After 3 weeks of nothing, I finally landed an interview at this tech startup downtown. Now I'm no tech wizard, but they needed someone to run their office operations, and my experience as an executive assistant at my last job actually made me perfect for it. I showed up in my one decent outfit. Thank you, Target clearance rack. Nailed the interview and got the job offer the next day. The salary? Almost double what I was making before. No cap. The company had this awesome vibe. Ping pong tables, free snacks, cold brew on tap, the whole Silicon Valley wannabe setup. My boss was this super chill guy who'd just moved from Austin and wanted to recreate that Texas hospitality vibe in the office. I hit the ground running, and within a month I'd organized their entire filing system, set up better vendor relationships, and saved them a ton of money on office supplies. Small stuff, but they noticed. I found this cute little apartment close to work. Nothing fancy, but it was all mine. I filled it with furniture from Facebook Marketplace and home goods clearance items. My sister never once asked to see it. Life was starting to feel normal again. I'd go to work, hit up happy hour with my new coworkers, and spend weekends either helping Angela's mom with yard work, least I could do, or exploring hiking trails with my new rescue dog, Pancake. Yeah, I got a dog. Best decision ever. Then something wild happened. About 4 months after starting my new job, I got this official-looking letter in the mail. Turns out my great-uncle Vernon, who I'd met maybe twice at family reunions, had passed away and left me a chunk of change in his will. And by chunk of change, I mean enough money to buy a house outright. I thought it was some kind of scam at first. Had to call the lawyer 3 times to make sure it was legit. Uncle Vernon had no kids, apparently liked how I'd always listened to his boring fishing stories, and decided I deserved a slice of his surprisingly large pie. Who knew selling industrial cleaning supplies could be so lucrative? Update, y'all. Are too funny with the sugar daddy comments? No, Uncle Vernon was like 85 and smelled like mothballs and Old Spice. The inheritance was legit. He'd invested in Apple back in the 80s and never touched it. Smart old dude. Some of you asked about my ex's reaction. Hold tight, that part's coming up. But first, how would you handle suddenly having financial security after hitting rock bottom? I didn't tell anyone about the money at first, not even Angela's mom. I just quietly met with a financial advisor, set most of it aside for investments, and started house hunting. The market in my hometown is way more affordable than the city where I'd lived with my ex, so I could actually get a really nice place. I found this gorgeous craftsman-style house in the fancy part of town, you know, the neighborhood with the good schools and where people actually decorate for every holiday, not just Christmas. The kind of place where neighbors bring you cookies when you move in, and everyone has a Ring doorbell. I made an offer, they accepted, and boom, I was a homeowner, just like that. My ex found out about the inheritance somehow, probably through mutual friends, and had his lawyer contact me about revisiting the divorce settlement. I forwarded that email straight to my lawyer with just LOL in the body. He didn't get a penny. I was settling into my new place, painting walls and planting a little veggie garden in the backyard, when my phone lit up with my sister's name for the first time in months. "Hey, stranger," she said, trying to sound casual. "I was thinking maybe we could grab lunch this weekend. It's been too long." Something in her voice sounded off, but I agreed. We met at this bougie brunch place downtown where they charge $18 for avocado toast. She was already there when I arrived, looking stressed. Her hair wasn't as perfectly highlighted as usual, and she was wearing a top I recognized from at least 3 years ago. After awkward small talk about the weather and my new job, which she barely asked about, she finally got to the point. "So, I don't know if you heard, but I'm going through some changes," she said, pushing her $14 mimosa around. "Oh yeah?" I said, suddenly very interested in the menu. "Yeah, the company did this massive restructuring and my position was eliminated." She said it like she was reading from a script. "They gave me a decent severance package, but I've been looking for 3 months now, and nothing's panning out." I nodded sympathetically while mentally calculating how much my brunch was going to cost. The Salmon Benedict was calling my name. "Anyway," she continued, "I heard from Mom that you, came into some money, and that you bought a house?" There it was. "Yeah, Uncle Vernon left me something in his will," I said, keeping it vague. "It was unexpected." "That's amazing," she said with fake enthusiasm. "I always liked him. You called him the weird fish guy and avoided him at every family gathering," I reminded her. She laughed like I was joking, then leaned forward. "Look, I'm in a really tight spot right now. The severance is running out, and I've got the townhouse payment, car lease, credit cards. It's a lot. I was wondering if maybe I could borrow some money to tide me over, just until I find something new." I took a long sip of my coffee, enjoying the moment maybe a little too much. "How much are you thinking?" I asked. She named a figure that made me choke on my coffee. It was enough to cover her expenses for at least 6 months. "That's a lot," I said. I know," she rushed to say. "But you've got that inheritance, and it's just money, right? I'd pay you back as soon as I get a new job. Just money." The same sister who couldn't spare a couch for me when I had nowhere to go was now asking for thousands of dollars like it was pocket change. I set my coffee cup down slowly and looked her right in the eyes. "I'm sorry, but I don't want your problems to become mine." Her face went through about 5 emotions in 3 seconds. "What?" "I don't want your problems to become mine," I repeated, using her exact words. "That's what you said to me when I needed a place to stay after my divorce, remember?" Yum. Flushed red. "That was different. You needed a place to live, which would have been a huge imposition. This is just money." "Strange," I said, buttering my toast. "When I needed a roof over my head, it was too much to ask, but when you need my money, it's just a trifle? Funny how that works." "But you're rich now," she practically hissed across the table. "And we're sisters." "We're sisters," I agreed. "Which is why I thought you'd help me when I had nothing. But you didn't want my problems then, so why should I want yours now?" Update. OMG, you guys. I didn't expect this post to blow up like this. So many of you asking about what happened next at that brunch. Well, let's just say it involved her making a scene, the manager coming over, and me leaving a really big tip for our server who had to witness the whole thing. But here's my question. Am I being too harsh? Part of me feels guilty, but another part feels like this is exactly what she deserves. My sister stared at me like I'd just grown a second head. "Are you seriously throwing that in my face right now? That was months ago." 6 months ago, I corrected her. 6 months ago, I needed my sister, and you turned me away because you didn't want to be inconvenienced. Now you need me, and suddenly we're sisters again? That's not how this works." She started crying then. Not cute little tears, but full-on mascara running, nose-dripping, ugly crying. Right there in brunch and bubbly between the avocado toast and the eggs Benedict. "You don't understand," she sobbed. "I'm going to lose everything. My townhouse, my car." "I understand perfectly," I said, keeping my voice calm even though my heart was racing. "You're in the exact same position I was in 6 months ago, except I didn't have a severance package or unemployment benefits to fall back on. I had $843 to my name and a car full of whatever I could grab before leaving my marriage. People were starting to stare. The server awkwardly refilled our water glasses and scurried away. "What am I supposed to do?" she demanded, wiping her nose with the fancy cloth napkin. "The same thing I did," I replied. "Stay with a friend, get a job, any job, start over." "I can't stay with friends. It's humiliating." I just looked at her. The irony was apparently lost on her. She tried a different approach. "What about a loan?" Then, A formal loan with interest and everything. I'll sign whatever you want. I sighed. The answer is no. Not because I can't help you, but because you wouldn't help me. Actions have consequences. You're being vindictive, she accused. Maybe, I admitted. Or maybe I'm just setting a boundary with someone who's only interested in a relationship when it benefits them. She grabbed her purse and stood up. Fine. I thought you'd be the bigger person, but I guess money changes people. I laughed at that. Money didn't change me, sis. It just gave me the freedom to stop putting up with conditional relationships, including ours. She stormed out, leaving me with the bill. Classic. Over the next few weeks, she launched a full-scale family campaign against me, called our parents in Florida, told all our cousins, even reached out to mutual friends to tell them what a horrible, selfish person I'd become. Some bought it. Others, who remembered how she'd treated me after my divorce, didn't. Our mom called, trying to play peacemaker. Can't you help her just a little bit? She asked. She's really struggling. Did she call you when I was struggling? I countered. The silence was my answer. I offered to let her stay in my guest room while she gets back on her feet, I told. Mom. Just like I needed to do when I came back. She refused because it would be humiliating, so that's on her. And it was true. After our brunch showdown, I did text her offering a place to stay, with actual walls and a door, not a couch, but made it clear I wouldn't be giving her money. She left me on red. 2 months later, I heard through the grapevine that she'd had to give up her townhouse and move to a much smaller apartment in a less desirable part of town. Her BMW got repossessed, and she was driving a used Honda Civic now. She'd taken a job at a call center making way less than she used to, but it was something. I ran into her at Target once. She was comparing prices on store-brand cereal, wearing yoga pants that had seen better days. I was buying throw pillows for my sunroom because I'd decided it needed a pop of color. Our eyes met across the aisle. For a second, I thought she might ignore me, but then she wheeled her cart over. Nice purse, she said, nodding at my new Kate Spade. Guess the inheritance is treating you well. It is, I said simply. How are you doing? She shrugged. Surviving. The call center job sucks, but it pays the rent. Barely. An awkward silence fell between us. I should have felt triumphant. This was karma in action, right? But seeing her looking so defeated just made me sad. The offer still stands, I said, finally. If you want to stay in my guest room while you look for something better, you can. She laughed bitterly. Right, so you can lord it over me every day? No thanks. That's not... Save it. She cut me off. I don't need your charity. It's not charity when it's family, I said quietly. At least it shouldn't be. She just stared at her cart. I need to go. As she walked away, I called after her. The door's open if you change your mind. She didn't turn around. That was 3 months ago. She hasn't taken me up on the offer, and honestly, I don't think she will. Pride's a powerful thing. Sometimes, I feel guilty, like maybe I should have just given her the money. Other times, I remember how it felt to be turned away when I had nowhere else to go. And the guilt fades. I did anonymously pay her electric bill when I heard it was about to be shut off, though. I'm not a monster. Meanwhile, my life keeps getting better. I got promoted at work, Pancake graduated from obedience school, barely, but hey, he's trying, and I'm dating this really sweet guy who teaches high school history and coaches baseball. We met when I volunteered to help with a fundraiser for the school's STEM program. Total meet cute. My sister's still living on unemployment benefits and working that call center job. She posts passive-aggressive quotes on Facebook sometimes that are obviously about me. Stuff like, blood is supposed to be thicker than water, but sometimes it's just as easy to wash away. Maybe someday we'll work things out. Family's complicated. Like that. You can love someone and still recognize they're not good for you. You can forgive without forgetting. You can set boundaries without closing doors completely. For now, though, I'm enjoying my craftsman house in the fancy neighborhood, my rescue dog who still chews my shoes sometimes, and the peace that comes with knowing I'm finally putting myself first. And yeah, sometimes when I'm sipping coffee on my back deck or planting flowers in my front yard, I think about how it all worked out, and I can't help but smile. Karma might take her sweet time, but when she shows up, she brings receipts.